Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. This is episode 103, I believe. So we are still doing this thing. We have just off the record decided that we're going to add a couple things for season 2. And then this group will be back for season 3 to finish off the Fleetwood Mac entire discography. So I hope you like this group because we are here to stay, baby, at least for one more season. But anyway, I think everybody here has been on the podcast. The only one new to the Fleetwood Mac podcast is Jimmy, who is visiting from the Blondie family, but is also a Janet Jackson fan. And he did the Velvet Rope podcast. So thank you also, Jimmy, for ordering my CD. It's going to go in the mail tonight. There's been a lot of support with the Patreon and stuff this month. So things are looking good in the world of Phonogenics. I just appreciate you all supporting me and making me feel valued. It's definitely helpful because it's very easy for projects, especially like I don't think a lot of podcasts, like indie ones. I think 103, like we beat 100 episodes, man. And how many of those were us? At least 1/5 of them, right?
Good number.
Yep. All right, so tonight we are going to talk about Buckingham Knicks. Here's my vinyl. Here it is. I'm sure. And I also have, of course, a budget bootleg bullshit CD I picked up years ago. They have the Polydor logo on there, trying to make it look official. But then the CD is like this gold CDR. And it's totally like a vinyl to CD rip because you can hear the pops and some of the songs have like a skip in them. So whatever, though. It's Buckingham Knicks. Before we go into the album, did anybody in this podcast know this album before Fleetwood Mac, independent of Fleetwood Mac?
No.
Okay. I think that I came upon this album in the early 90s.
That's a good story. Okay.
Perfect.
Sorry. Go ahead.
We will get to you, Jim. I think I came to the album in the mid-90s, the same time that I had the Christine Perfect album, because I remember having it on cassette in my car. So yeah, let's kind of go around the circle. Jim, we'll start with you of how and when you came upon the Buckingham Knicks album. For those who don't know, this is the album that Stevie Nicks and Lindsay Buckingham made before they joined Fleetwood Mac. 1972 or 3 was it, y'all?
Okay.
It was 73, right?
Okay.
73.
Okay. Am I on?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Okay. It's just I was, back in 83, 84, I was, it's like the MTV era, and I saw the Stevie and Fleetwood Mac videos, and I was really liked them, and I was starting to get their catalog. And I think I went to, I think it was in Rapid City, South Dakota. I went to a record store, and I was going to get the White Album and Rumors the same day. But I saw clear across the room, I saw Lindsay and Stevie, and I saw this Buckingham Knicks. I said, oh my God, they made a record? And it had to be like prior to Fleetwood Mac. And so I bought that too. Without hearing a note, I got that record and I played it, and, there it was. But this kind of leads into another story of... I did this on this podcast before. I hope I'll keep it short. And I remember this was when I was 11. And it was like when this album actually came out. And I'm pretty sure this happened because I go over and over it again. And I remember that, wow, this really did happen. And my dad was going to take my brothers and I to the record store. And I think it was in Sturgis, South Dakota. And just to go buy music and buy records. I was excited. I said, "Wow, I like rock and roll, and I like music in general." And I thought, well, but then I got there and I started looking at records, and I said I was confused. Like I got songs in these, memorized in my head, and I don't know the names of these people. I don't know, song titles or anything. I was just kind of thumbing through albums, and I was just at a loss. But then I'm pretty damn sure I saw these two people, 11 years old, and wow, that's a nice looking couple. But then I started looking, and then I saw the girl was like naked, and that kind of spooked me. And I just went to the front of the record store and stopped and just stayed there until everybody else was looking at records and maybe got what they wanted. And it's a crazy story that, I mean, I think that it did happen, and it kind of set me back where I like music. Really, I really love music. I really love rock and roll. I love songwriting, and I love messaging in the songs. And I just kind of set me back where I'm just kind of, withdrawn. And, I was kind of like withdrawn for a good 10 years. My brother would play the Led Zeppelins and the Queens in the basement and the Sabbaths and all that. And, of course, rumors turned up, my band, and, like, wow, that's my band, when my older brother Norman, he's got the Rumors album and played it, and I really love that. And we talked about that in the Rumors podcast about, you know, they're bringing my band and playing it on their stereo, and I was okay with it, but it was just, that's the story. Uh, it's I just remember seeing this couple, and like, it was kind of against what I believe in, what music should be. Stevie felt the same way. It really disheartened her. And the story goes, she wrote Garbo right after that photo shoot. She was so kind of hurt and discouraged, and she went along with it. And it's funny that I reacted to that, just seeing the cover, and she reacted to the situation, which is much harder to deal with. And it's funny that it's kind of came in a full circle again. That I see this couple, and it ended up a big part of my life in music. So I mean, that's my story. And I told it once before, and I tell it again, and it's kind of just bizarre.
Well,
So,
Jim, the sight of a
yeah.
naked woman sets me back 10 years also. So I'm with you
Well,
on that.
it's kind of like I felt music was about love and about um, you know, togetherness and the hippie stuff, but it wasn't about, sex per se.
Good thing you
And
weren't
I
walking
thought,
through a music store in 2023. The way
what?
music is now. Said good thing you weren't walking through a music store in 2023 the way music is now with Cardi
Yeah,
B.
I mean, we've grown and all, but
Yeah.
it's provocative. I think that's kind of the reason it got shelved or tanked.
I remember when the White Album came out, on the back cover, it looked like Stevie had brown hair. And I really thought, when I was a kid, I thought she bleached her hair, and she always had brown hair before that album. But obviously, I was wrong, as we see by the cover
Okay.
of Buckingham Knicks. All right,
But
Jim, thank you for sharing. We are moving
yes,
on
I mean, okay.
to Dr. Larner. You're next.
I don't have a great big story for Buckingham Knicks. I did discover this probably around 88 or 89. So I listened to it nonstop for like half a year, and then I haven't really listened to it since until recently for this podcast. So it had some surprises on there,
Cool.
which we'll get to.
All right, crossing over from the Jimmy fam, or from the Blondie family. Jimmy, when did you come into Buckingham Knicks?
Well, I was gifted the Rumors album by my cool aunt for like my 12th birthday. and just like lived for that album and was so obsessive that I went to the record store and bought their first, the White Album. And then while I was there, though, I happened to see the, Buckingham Knicks album, and I'm
Same
like,
deal.
so I discovered it around that same time, because I had gone back to get the previous. Much like Jim said, I just kind of happened upon it in this record store, and was like, hey, bonus.
Yeah, a great bonus.
All right. We missed him during the Christine Perfect podcast, but he has rejoined the family. Roland, you're kind of like the Lindsay Buckingham. You just leave for some of the tours and you come back for some of them.
Yeah, I go solo. So yeah, just like Jimmy, I found this in a record store by chance, and $5.99
cool.
in the record store for those who remember record stores. It's just interesting that this is the 1975 edition from Canada, that they really try to capitalize on them joining Fleetwood Mac and re-releasing this as a collector's item, as it says on my copy right away.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and don't you love the picture inside? They look like Mike and Gloria from All in the Family, don't they? Yeah,
They really do.
they do.
Okay.
Oh, those are the days.
Did they cut your album by any chance?
Say what?
Remember when they used to cut albums when they'd resell them?
Oh, the cutouts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this is not a cutout, no. But yeah, mine's a Quality Records.
All right. He has returned for making his first appearance on Phonogenics on the Say You Will podcast. And Ken, we're really glad to have you back. Tell us about when you came into Buckingham Knicks.
Yeah, so like I said last time, I've been a Fleetwood Mac fan since I think 82 or 83 when I saw the Hold Me video on MTV is the one that did it for me. I bought Mirage, then I bought Rumors, then I bought Tusk, and I loved it all. And you sort of heard things like, there was this thing that Stevie and Lindsay did before Fleetwood Mac. Like I knew it existed, but I didn't have any way to hear it. And then it was the mid 90s, and I was a huge Fleetwood Mac fan by that time. I was also a big Neil Young fan. I was big in the tape trade. There was a community online of like people who traded live Neil Young music a lot. And during one of the trades, one of the people I was trading music with was like, I have this thing. I don't know if you're interested in Fleetwood Mac, but I have this thing that they did before that. Would you want to have a copy? I was like, yes, please. I would be very interested in that. And I loved it. I just loved it. It sounded exactly what I thought a pre Fleetwood Mac, Lindsay and Stevie album should sound like. It's a good album. I think about why was it not successful? Why didn't it sell? And if you look what was happening in 1973 in music, I feel like things were starting to fade away from like the hippie scene, the folk rock stuff that had been popular. I think rock was getting a little bit more, I don't want to say like hard rock exactly, but it was just like a bigger sound. Things were getting bigger and not smaller. You had 1973, you had Aerosmith put out their very first CD. You also had Queen's first album the same year.
Wow. You're kidding me.
Same year. Bruce Springsteen's first album the same year.
Oh my God.
And then this is not a debut, but Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road came out.
That's a huge record.
And these, great records, and they all had this big.
Oh my God.
And Buckingham Knicks, it's a band behind them, but it still has a duo sound to me. It's got the folky thing going on, and I just wonder if it was the timing that it didn't sell. Like maybe if this had come out like 3 years earlier, maybe it would have been huge. I don't know.
All right, and just a couple little side things before we get to Alicia. The story is that Mick Fleetwood Bob Welsh had left Fleetwood Mac, and Mick Fleetwood was it in Sunset Sound? He was looking for a new guitar player, and Keith Olsen.
No.
Village Recorders, was it?
No. It was Sound City.
Sound City.
Dave
Grohl.
Yeah. Dave
Sorry,
Grohl.
everyone on the wedge. I know I made a mistake. I'm sorry, everybody. Anyway,
and the carpeting, and the carpeting on the walls, and someone taking a leak in the corner. That's the story.
but But Mick heard Lindsay and wanted him in the band because they were playing Frozen Love over the stereo. Okay, Alicia, when did you come into the Buckingham Knicks album?
Well, it's kind of hard because Lindsay and Stevie have kind of dropped a song here and there over the last 15 years, I guess. I mean, Stevie put Long Distance Winter on her Enchanted record or box set, and I got that, gosh, probably a good 15 years ago by now. That was one of the first things I bought. And then she did Crying in the Night for 24 Karat. And then Buckingham put Stephanie on his Greatest Hits record a couple years back. So I've kind of heard a couple songs here and there, but I listening to it all the way through and really hearing it as a body of work together, it's been more recently. It's kind of hard not to hear some of these songs because they use it kind of as a replay and things like that for documentaries, and fans like to do clips and things. But it's a good record. It's a nice record. So,
And in the context of Fleetwood Mac, that was the same year that Fleetwood Mac had released Penguin and Mystery to Me. So they'd released 2 albums that year. I really love Mystery to Me. That's one of my favorite albums.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if there's got to be someone out there. I wonder if there's someone out there that bought the Buckingham Knicks album and loved it, and bought Mystery to Me and loved it, and like their mind was blown when the 2 acts combined.
Oh yeah. There's got to
I
be
wonder if
people.
that's going to be somebody down in like the South, like Alabama.
Right. Because
That
wasn't
was
Alabama the only place where they played Buckingham? They had a lot of success because of a radio station in Birmingham, and actually had to do their farewell concert when they joined Fleetwood Mac. Roland, your hand is up.
Yes, it just occurred to me it's a 50th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised that, this album is in such demand for being re-released, and we have stuff from
Oh.
Walter Egan, for example, and Sandy Stewart being released as CDs, but you don't have this very in-demand record being re-released, with bonus material. I mean, who owns the rights to it? Because Stevie and Lindsay kind of go back and forth from interviews saying, she's saying, oh, well, Lindsay owns it, and he says, well, we're going to fiddle around with it one day. And wouldn't it be nice if they were still together as friends and they did some kind of anniversary thing for this? But it's unfortunate.
It needs to be a box set, because the coffee plant demos, that's 7 songs.
Yeah. And
they're fleshed up pretty well. I mean, they could be cleaned up or whatever. It's like, let's see, Without You is one of them, and that was on the extended play. And Nomad was on Trouble in Shangri-La. That's All Right on Mirage. Garber was on B-side I Stand Back. And Sorcerer was in Shangri-La. And Cat House Blues was on 24 Karat. And Goldfish and the Ladybug, it didn't make it anymore yet. It's kind of a corny song, but it's cute. But,
Without You too. Well, they did release it.
Without You was on extended play.
Extended play, yeah.
They did it live, didn't they?
Yeah, they did it live on that 2013 tour.
Yeah, I went to the Louisville show, so it's funny I didn't record it, or did I? I have to look at my old stuff.
And they could throw in some live material. There is stuff, I think it's either Fritz or Buckingham Knicks concerts that have been on YouTube and just floating around.
Oh,
I've heard some of that.
Oh my God, they can make this huge. They can make this, because they did Born to Be Wild live, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's kind of crummy, but Stevie just soars on that. It's just the harmonies and it's kind of just the soaring vocals. It's a good little track. It can be worked with, and it's a pretty good little cover.
Yeah,
and
there
Rhiannon,
are early Rhiannons too out there.
Yeah,
Like
Rhiannon
before
started.
Fleetwood Mac.
There's 3 Rhiannon on YouTube. You can play these 3 Rhiannons back to back, and it changes a little bit. I love those versions.
Yeah, it's a lost opportunity, I think.
It almost had a shuffled drum beat to it. instead of what Mick did with Rhiannon. It had a different kind of like drum.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and there's probably stuff in the closet or in the vault.
All right.
All right.
Well, any other thoughts on the cover of the album? Stevie saved up a lot of money to buy a nice blouse. And
$110.
$110, which was a lot at the time. She was cleaning people's houses as she lets. I feel like Stevie lets us know that she cleans houses just as much as Jewel tells everyone she lived in a van.
And it says here that Jimmy Wachtel, I assume it's Waddy's brother, took the picture.
Yeah, and Waddy Wachtel is on the album. He gets a shout out. So he's still in the Stevie Universe to this day on tour with her. I do like the cover.
Airbrush something out.
What's
on
that?
The cover. Did they airbrush something out on the cover?
I can't really tell. There might be a nip hiding.
Was tastefully, so to speak, in the shadow.
Yeah.
That's just I didn't like it. I mean, I saw that and I went, I'm out of here.
Stevie should have a song called "Titty in the Shadow." That'd be very like on brand for her.
There are outtakes of this photograph with her wearing a blouse. You can find them on
there's
the internet.
There's a whole bunch
I was seeing
of
that on Twitter. There's somebody celebrating like 30 days this month and doing something different for this record.
All right. Well, now that we've covered the titty in the shadow and the live versions.
One more note. On the credits in the back, they spelled Stevie's name wrong. I don't know if she changed it later or that was a typo. They left the E out on Stevie on the end.
Oh, Stevi?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It was an early ad for Fleetwood Mac. The one they're standing in the bathroom is black and white. She looks like she has brown hair. They mix matched their names. They called Lindsay Stevie and Stevie Lindsay.
Yeah.
In one of the ads, right?
Yeah. The bathroom picture.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yes. As we said, to this date, it hasn't been released. Throughout the years, there's been times like, oh, we're going to do it. It's in the works. And then they get in a fight. It's so much drama in the Fleetwood Mac world.
It's got to be it's got to be a big box set. And I think it would, let's say it sold 30,000 copies of a big box set. I mean, it should be there for history and posterity.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not going to be done, but
And if Stevie and Lindsay themselves don't do it, Rhino should do it.
Maybe it won't happen until they pass away, unfortunately. Okay, let's take a vote with the Phonogenics poll here. Who thinks this Buckingham Knicks will be reissued in their lifetime? Anybody on this panel?
I don't think so.
Ken. So we have Ken as a yes. Who's a no? I think I'm a no.
No.
So Ken, what makes you feel yes?
I thought for sure it was going to happen this year because both Lindsey Buckingham's team and Stevie Nicks' team, whoever handles their social media, tweeted out that it was the 50th anniversary. So I was like, that's got to mean something. They both tweeted about it, but haven't seen anything.
They both told their whole catalog too, right?
Oh yeah, they did.
So they should be able to throw that out anytime they want.
We're already September now.
But isn't it a problem that probably most everyone that wants Buckingham Knicks has already got it in one form or another? So realistically, if it were put out for retail now, I mean, I guess collectors would buy it.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, I mean, collectors would buy it. But I mean, most everybody that wants it already kind of has it.
I think it would have to be like Jim said. It'd have to be like the box set.
They would have to make it super special.
It could be a box set plot or just a straight up album. Because
you know what?
They do that.
What if it was a record store day release? I think that would be
people collect vinyl.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Christopher Nicks, listen to us. Is Christopher Nicks still handling Stevie's social media? Re-release Buckingham Knicks for record store day. Everyone will buy it. Okay. Any other thoughts before we go into the track by track? Alicia.
We did a lot.
Going along with this box set stuff, did they ever start working on like a second album before they got dropped.
They were
Yes,
writing for it.
Stuff.
after they got dropped.
Yep.
Rhiannon was part of that. Probably Landslide was in there.
Sorcerer.
Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday morning. Yeah. They had
Candle Bright or Nomad, whatever you want to call it. That was
Yes.
one of the Buckingham Knicks songs.
That would
Stevie
be a
did.
really awesome second CD as well.
Oh yeah.
Just hearing all those.
And there's so many other demos. Oh gosh, they're just that. You ever hear of these demos with the pool sticks and the pool balls clicking? There's some demos where you can hear people playing pool.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
ready
not
to
very
hear
clear, though.
I can't. I mean, there's just a lot of material.
what if Stevie came out and said, me and Lindsay are gonna go back in the studio and re-record the unreleased Buckingham. Wouldn't that be the worst idea ever? If you get the 24 karat gold Buckingham Knicks 2 versions.
It's
Like
it's
with,
almost, this is kind of almost what it has to be. John McPhee doesn't want to tour. Mick wants to tour.
Me and Lindsay went to Nashville with Dave Stewart and we're doing Goldfish and the Ladybug.
But it's almost kind of like if something's going to happen, it'll have to be Lindsay and Stevie, and they're still very credible live.
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, but they hate each other so much.
They hate each other.
Oh gosh!
All right.
Something they were getting from the dance until that the big mess up. They were getting along fairly well. Something went down.
Even during extended play, they're like, we're hanging out, we're friends like we never were before. Like I'm still tired from like the Lindsay Stevie cycle. Like it's a lot of emotional labor, even as a bystander. All right. I read a review of Buckingham Knicks, and it was very interesting. I never unheard this, and I probably shouldn't ruin the album for you guys. But they're talking about how, as a production choice, Lindsay's vocals were single tracked, but they felt that Stevie, they didn't trust her voice, so they double tracked her throughout the whole album.
My biggest complaint.
Your biggest complaint?
Yes. I mean, when I was listening to it, I was like, the vocal effects they're putting on Stevie are so unnecessary and so distracting and sound so dated and make it sound so much like you're listening through a transistor radio.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is, that would be my biggest complaint about the album is those unnecessary vocal like little tricks, because we all know she didn't need all that. And when she's singing harmony on some of the songs where they don't double her up, I think she sounds fantastic.
I do too. And she had that high range still, so she could really add on those like high harmonies, like the early Fleetwood Mac albums that she's on. Roland, is your hand up from before? Or is it?
Oh,
okay.
sorry, no.
Jim.
Yeah, Rhiannon is recorded like that with the double harmonies or tracking two together. And you listen to it closely, you can hear a little bit of each one.
Well, it sounds professional though.
Yeah.
Like Buckingham
Yeah.
sounds like kids experimenting for the first time.
Which they kind of were, in fairness, right?
Oh, there's one there is in Frozen Love when Stevie takes a part, she's doing all by herself. And that's about the only time she's all by herself with one single vocal. And the others are, I think, what about Races or Run? Does she double tracks that?
I think it's double tracked. Well,
okay.
Let's start with Cryin in the Night. We heard it on the 24th Karat Gold Tour. If you were alive in 1973, this is the first release from either Stevie Nicks or Lindsey Buckingham. I like it. It's the introduction to the world. Come on, baby, she's the wrong kind of girl. She's a tarnished.
Come on, lady, she's a tarnished.
I felt like some of Stevie's lyrics were a little bit suspect on this album, but I still love it, of course. What do y'all think of Cryin in the Night? Who wants to go first?
Well, my first thought is I'm surprised Lindsay allowed a Stevie song to be first on the album.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite generous of him, actually, to allow Stevie to be first, because knowing his personality, I don't think that would have happened a little bit later in the game.
Oh, Jimmy, you just cost us a lashing in the ledge. Okay. Anybody else crying in the night? Jim, you got some notes?
Yes, yeah, I got some notes. It's Stevie's storytelling brings you in. One thing about Stevie, I say here, her enunciation is like an end of words. You don't hear the end of the word pronounced right. And there's some other tracks on here. It's kind of apparent. But in later albums, she does a better job of that. There's no real guitar hook in this track. The track itself is pretty pedestrian. It was supposed to be the lead single off of the album, according to Stevie. And there was a lot of competition. I'm kind of talking about the album now. There's a lot of, like one of you guys said, there was a lot of debut albums. And let's see, I have a list. Graham Parsons released an album, Leonard Skinner, The Byrds, Allman Brothers, Charlie Daniels, Marshall Tucker, Bob Dylan, and then just so many more. There was so many others that were mentioned, and just a crush. That was a great year for music.
Wasn't that Joni Mitchell, Court and Spark, 73? Yeah, which is
Probably right.
amazing album.
Just iconic stuff came out.
Yeah, I do feel like, you did use the word pedestrian. I think the thing I love about this song, though, is there they are, the Stevie Lindsay harmonies in full effect. And, I just live for their younger voices harmonizing. I think it's beautiful. Okay, anybody else crying in the night? She will leave you. All right, Ken.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite song on the album, and I like most of the songs on it, but I really like this one. I think what I like best is that it's just a simple pop song. It's not Stevie trying a little too hard to be poetic, like I think happened to her a little bit later on. Here, she's just trying to write a straightforward, like country-ish pop song that's catchy and has good hooks. I kind of wish she did that more often. Like you kind of hear it on That's All Right too, that she kind of does the same there. But look at the vocal range that she has in this song. When she gets to the chorus and she sings the and she's looking around part. I'm not going to try to sing that, but I mean that is power in her. That is power in her voice. And no, she did not need to be double tracked. I've got to say, I'm almost afraid to admit it with you guys, but I'm a Lindsay fan, especially with the Ledge Forum talk. But I'm a Lindsay fan before I'm a Stevie fan. I mean, I love Stevie, but I'm more of a Lindsay fan.
Ken, please join us for his solo albums. We need help.
I will try hard to do that. But on this album, this is Stevie's album all the way. Her songs.
Oh boy.
True.
It's very pre-mystical Stevie. I mean, the lyrics are very straightforward, like Kenneth said. Sometimes her songs work very well like that without talking about moons and stars and gypsies and stuff like that. Like Leather and Lace, If You Ever Did Believe, or That's All Right. Straightforward songs. No, some of her becoming her very cliche kind of the words she's been using in her later career. So nice early Stevie.
Okay. Sidetrack question for the panel. What Stevie Nicks song is the most stereotypically Stevie with the cringy, like mysticism lyrics off the top of our heads?
Sisters of the Moon.
Sisters
The
of
Nightmare.
Oh, what?
I'm going to go with the Nightmare also.
Okay, we're looking at.
Okay, sorry you guys, I get off track a little bit.
Would Planets of the Universe work?
Planets.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I love Planets. We can't mess
Well, I
with
love
Planets.
Planets, but it's
I danced that in a gay club with my shirt off, so we're not gonna touch that one. All right. Woo, The Nightmare is a pretty bad song, isn't it? But we've already covered that extensively.
Oh, Stevie has told a story about this song. She saw a movie with Leslie Ann Warren. It's some kind of cowboy movie, I think, and she wrote this about that character she played. And then she later met Leslie Ann Warren and told Leslie Ann Warren that I wrote the song about you. That's the story behind this one.
Ooh, was Leslie Warren the wrong kind of girl?
Apparently, I don't know what movie it is. Some kind of cowboy movie, I think. Or maybe I'm just thinking country.
My whole life,
Because it sounds country.
all I've wanted to do is be the wrong kind of girl. Sorry, Steven, go ahead.
No, I was just getting Leslie Warren's like, that's nice. Who are you?
Yeah, back then. Yeah, who are you? Your name is?
All right, well, I do feel for this album we should do the thumbs up, thumbs down. So I give Cryin in the Night thumbs up.
Yeah.
Unanimous thumbs up. Oh, Sideways from Mr. Larner. All right.
Yeah.
Any
A
other
little
thoughts?
bit minus for the double vocaling. If it weren't for the double vocaling, it would be a solid, definite.
I'm right
100%.
between you guys because the double vocal sways me this way, but what Ken said about her hook on the looking around,
Yeah.
those notes, like, ooh, Stevie, give it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, we have an instrumental. Of course, Stephanie is Stevie Nicks' birth name. It's a pretty instrumental. We have some nice electric guitar overdubs. I don't have much to say about this, but someone does. And who is that person? Jimmy.
Why?
Of course. Oh, go
Why?
ahead. Oh,
Why is what I have to say about it. Because to me, it just is a very strange placement for a instrumental, simple track on
that's true.
track 2 of an album. You know, you're putting it down. You just heard the opening, and now you're in an instrumental. You know, it's pretty. It's, you know, great guitar work, but why there? It just didn't. You know, it doesn't make sense to me in that context.
And Lindsay waited till track 3 for his voice to be heard. That would have never happened years later. Okay,
Okay.
Jim, and then we'll go
Yes.
to Ken.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very pretty instrumental. It's so similar to Fleetwood Mac in instrumental of that time. It is spooky. I really think it's like those, like Sunny Side of Heaven,
Okay.
and there's several others. And it's just, you know, it's almost like they knew each other, but they didn't. Lindsay has been playing. Lindsay's been playing this quite recently in spectacular fashion. There was like a 2012 video I've been watching. It was mentioned in an article, and I went to find that, and it's very good. It's just a good little instrumental. It's kind of funny. It's way up front on an album, but you know, Sunny Side of Heaven, it leads the Fleetwood Mac Bare Trees album. So, you know,
What was the closing track on Penguin that was an instrumental? Something about the rain, like Caught in the Rain?
yeah.
They had those great instrumentals, though, on those early albums.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I can't. Safe Harbor.
That was from
Safe
Heroes Are Hard to Find, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. On.
All right, Ken, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I suspect that the reason that this was the second track was because Stevie got her showcase on the first track. She got to show off her vocals, and then track 2, Lindsay gets to show off his thing, which is his finger picking. So, you know, I think like the 1-2 punch there of both of them showing their best traits. I've heard some people say that Stephanie kind of turned into Never Going Back Again, and I don't think that's true. I mean, there are a couple of guitar phrases in it that both songs have in common, but they're really different songs with completely different feels. I don't know if you guys know, but on Spotify right now, there's a live Buckingham Knicks album. It wasn't up a few months ago. It must have just been put up there recently. But there's a live Buckingham Knicks album. It's called Monday Morning that you can listen to right now. And it has another Lindsay instrumental on it, separate from this and separate from Never Going Back Again.
Oh, I'll check that out. I bet Stevie and Lindsay don't know that's up there.
I'm sure they don't. And this instrumental I'm talking about, it's mistitled. It's titled Never Going Back Again, but it's not that song. It's a completely different
Oh, wow.
piece of work. But
All right. Does anybody else want to touch on Steven?
Yeah. You listen to Cyndi Lauper, right?
Yes.
This reminds me of the little instrumental she had at the beginning of the videos. I Drove All Night and Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit longer, but it's a little bit of a palate cleanser and then a lead in to the next song.
I agree.
Which would work better had it been shorter.
And by the way, I want to do a Cyndi Lauper Phonogenics too.
I'm there for that.
Oh, Sisters of Avalon is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Me too. She got better as it went on.
She got better in that Bring You to the Brink, that dance album. Oh, That's another album where I had my shirt off in the gay club back in the day. Okay, sorry, you guys. I'm all over the place tonight. Kind of like the Buckingham Knicks album. Okay, does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Roland, Alicia, anybody? Okay,
It's a nice track. It's nice.
it's nice.
That's all I can say about it.
Oh, you're talking, Jimmy? You're on mute.
Yeah, my only other thought was because they had so many other songs that they were brewing around, just was kind of surprising that with the brevity of this album, they wouldn't have utilized one of those other great songs that they were working with for this.
Whole other album.
So that's my only comment. It's just a little bit of a surprise for me, and kind of like, the album clocks in pretty briefly. So for this instrumental to be track 2 was just a little surprising for me.
I bet you if you ask Lindsay, he's got a reason.
He definitely has a reason.
Yeah.
And he's using words I'd have to look up in a dictionary because
True.
I give it thumbs up. I still like it. It reminds me of the Fleetwood Mac. Caught in the Rain was the name of the instrumental, Jim. I looked it up from Penguin.
Oh, Caught in the Rain? Okay. Yeah.
Do we have any was everybody thumbs up on this, or do we have any?
Okay.
Well, Lindsay is finally letting himself be heard on track 3 of the album, Without a Leg to Stand On. Isn't that the third song?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm doing this from memory because they don't have the damn track list anywhere on the album, and the lyrics are not in the right order either. So I really had to get on my A game here.
I thought it was Crystal.
Let me look.
What?
No, the next is here we go. Yeah, Without a Leg to Stand On is track 3. I found the track list. Don't you know that I can't sing? What do you guys think of this song?
Kind of Cat Stevens.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, when you think about it.
I kind of just, yeah.
All right.
Great harmonies with Lindsay Stevie.
Okay.
Jimmy, your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember that unmute thing. The only comment I have about that, I mean, I like the song, no real criticism. Although to me, even listening to it on a big stereo system, it still sounds like it's coming through on a transistor radio. I mean, there's no depth in there. There's no, it's all higher end sounds. There's no like deepness or full richness to it. But Lindsay and Stevie's vocals really blend well together, I think, in that track. But it just really sounds like a transistor radio kind of song.
I do kind of like the hook of this one. I like when Lindsay kind of writes a good hook. I might be in the minority here, but I kind of like poppy Lindsay more than Lindsay trying to be weird Lindsay, or Lindsay trying to do like a rock dirge epic with a long guitar solo. So this song kind of falls in the kind of Lindsay that I love best. All right. Who else wants to go Without a Leg to Stand On? Alicia.
Well, So I don't know. I think the song is good just listening to it, but I wouldn't. All I can say is Lindsay has really improved his lyric writing from here.
Yeah.
Point A from point B. But this is one of the, and that's what makes, I guess, this so much fun listening to this here the last couple weeks, is you're seeing the beginning of these two songwriters, or at least a document of them, and what they're creating. So like I noticed through this record, Stevie isn't doing all the mysticism like we've been talking. You can see a little bit of it in Crystal, but a lot of these songs were straightforward, which is really cool. This song, when he sings to A Leg to Stand On, he hits some really good notes there. That's a really good line for him, and their harmonies are just fantastic. And Stevie's voice sounds, it sounds great, but it sounds different on this record than it does even for the 75 record. It's almost like she has a nice thick nice upper palate for this. It's like before all the smoking, before all the drugs, before all the really started illuminating that voice.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she really hit those high notes effortlessly on this album.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what line I loved in this song? And it kind of like, I'm a little depressed. So I love where he's like, I used to be somebody, but that was so long ago. I'm like, oh, I feel that. That's my favorite part of this song. It hits a little bit. All right, Lisa, do you have anything more on this one?
No, no.
Okay. Anyone else? Jim.
Yes. Great harmonies, and you guys said it. Lindsay sounds. I'm kind of guessing of the story, what this is kind of about. Lindsay sounds conflicted here. Perhaps it was when he toured with Don Everly and got a taste of being on the large stage and didn't want to stop doing that. So some of the lyrics suggest artistic frustration, and he wanted to expand his horizons. Good song. And I thought the drums and the bass sound a little heavy in the mix. A very Lindsay track.
All right. Anyone else? Steven, Ken, anyone? Did I miss anybody? All right. I give it thumbs up.
Yeah.
Elisa, did you have more?
The more I had wasn't this the record that they recorded in Lindsay's dad's company attic?
The coffee plant?
Yes. And wasn't it
they demoed it there.
Huh?
I'll give.
Wasn't
I feel like they did the demos there, but the actual album was recorded in the
No,
studio.
this was done at the Sound City. But Keith Olsen, they were passing the coffee plant tapes around, and there was no takers. And then I guess Polydor bit on it. They must have saw something, and then they didn't see something. Then
I see what you did there.
Okay, but Keith Olsen heard this, and he was trying to push it around. He was trying to get someone to bite on it, and he saw something in them, and and he was right about that. And but there was the coffee plant demos, which are great songs. There's just some great material there, and there's this here. And that's just like a separate album. And then it was like post Buckingham Knicks, there was, I think Rhiannon was, they were doing that live, and I think they were working on Never Going Back Again, like on the intro part on that tour. I think it was one of those songs.
But it was called Brushes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Brushes. Okay. That sounds right. That's why you want that box set. But I'll give a little background on Polydor. They're a German-English company that they started in 1913. It's like they've been around since electronics started and pressing started. One of the early record companies, or phonographic and all that. It's kind of like they were a big conglomerate, even in the 70s. So they would. They were like the Buckingham Knicks was a little fish in that big old pond of stuff, and they got neglected. But the competition in the music industry, and I think this record, if it was produced differently and mixed differently, and I don't know, and add some of those other songs we're talking about, maybe that could have busted through, but it did not, except in Alabama.
Except in Alabama. I'm kind of glad it didn't, because we probably even wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Well, it'd be a different history.
Yeah. Keith Olsen produced this album, correct? And he also produced the White Album.
Oh, yeah. Richard Dashut was engineered or something on this too. So, and then there's Waddy. You got the gang.
You got the gang. Keith Olsen also produced a great Kim Carnes album in the 80s called Cafe Racers, which I love, because that was like in her synth pop era. Any Kim Carnes fans here besides me? I guess I'll be alone on that Phonogenics journey. All right,
Okay.
moving onward. Sorry, Crystal. We all knew it from the Fleetwood Mac White Album, but it was originally done on Buckingham Knicks. It was later done on the Practical Magic soundtrack, with Stevie finally singing lead vocals and Sheryl Crow on the harmonies. This is, I think, the only time in the Fleetwood Mac universe, I might be wrong, but when Stevie wrote the song and Lindsay sang it. Wasn't it something that Keith Olsen wanted them to do? I read that somewhere.
I want to do it.
All right, so before we even go into this discussion, I'd like to go around the panel. Crystal, do you pick the Buckingham Knicks version, the White Album version, or the Practical Magic? Jim, what's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, it's a tough one. I like the White Album because of the stuff that the outro with Christine, and that keyboard stuff. That's yummy.
Yep. Right.
It's good.
Steven, which is your favorite?
Definitely this one.
This one.
Oh,
No
wow.
contest.
No
Yeah.
contest.
I
All
think
right,
this is his best vocal ever
Really?
on this
Well, that's a
album.
great vocal. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
We're coming back to you.
All right.
Jimmy.
I'm stuck. Okay, there we go. Originally, I have to go with, what I heard first. I always tend to like best, but I think these three treatments of the songs are so different. It's like picking, it's just really hard for me to choose. I think they each have their own merits. I think that the Fleetwood Mac White Album, just because I heard it first, would be my favorite. But I think this is a tremendous version in and of itself. And I love Stevie's version. I mean, I was happy she got to sing her song. So it was all good.
All right. Roland, which is your favorite version?
It would be this version we're talking about, or the Fleetwood Mac, when I sort of really can't tell the difference. Really haven't listened to it that much. But my least favorite would be the Stevie Nicks Practical Magic one. I think her voice is just harsh on that. I just got used to Lindsay singing. I think he sings it better than her voice, the 1998
Right.
sounding voice of hers.
Not fair.
Well,
He sings it better. I'm sorry.
Ken.
Well, yeah.
That's
but
harsh
it's
on
like
that.
You're talking like an elderly woman and a young man in his prime. I mean, you can't compare the vocals.
But I wish they would do this song live. I mean, this would be a nice treat to have Dave brought into the set when they were still touring together. Oh well.
And when Christine could have done the fucking keyboard part live. Okay, Ken, what's your favorite version?
I mean, it's going to vary from day to day depending on my mood, but I think most of the time I'm going to go with this version. Lindsay sounds so young and so sincere. He just sounds like he means every word that he's singing, even though he didn't write the words. I don't know. I just really like this one. I like the greater emphasis on his finger picking than is in the Fleetwood Mac version. I don't really care for Stevie's version on Practical Magic. I would love to hear. I wonder if somewhere out there's floating a version of like an early version of this song with her singing it. I would love to hear that, like from back in the day. If they attempted that, that would be something to hear.
That'd be on Jim's box set.
Yeah.
I'd buy that.
It's in a vault. It could be in a vault. Who knows?
That would be lovely to hear. That'd be interesting.
All right, Alicia, what's your favorite version?
It's tough. I mean, because the song, the first time I heard it was actually Stevie's version.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, and I loved how they did the guitars almost like water. And so I thought that I've enjoyed that one. But hearing Buckingham over the last year, I guess is since the last, when we started doing the White record, he sings it with a lot of sincerity.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful on the White record. It really is. But it's much, it almost makes me feel like they're doing the same thing there that Stevie did instrumentally on hers. But it's And I guess I think I like that as well. So that's where I'm kind of like, I- but then this one's an interesting version because I noticed he wasn't doing all the high notes like he did on the White record. He kind of sings this one more direct.
I listened to them back to back in the car yesterday, and the thing I really loved is on the outro. I do love, of course, Christine sing, but they have like a sound in the Buckingham Knicks version. It's like, I don't know if it's a saxophone or what, but it's really haunting. I love that in the outro. And Stevie does do a totally different harmony on the Buckingham Knicks version than the White Album version, right? I feel like her parts are different between the two different versions. Shit. Oh God, I'm torn between Buckingham Knicks and the White Album. Steven, talk. I'm gonna let you sway me.
I can't even listen to the White Album version. It makes me irate.
What?
Wow.
What?
Whatever magic is in the Buckingham Knicks version, I feel they tried to recreate it but didn't. And it just reminds me, have you ever done something in the studio where we record it once and it gets taped over or something, and then you go back and you do it again and it never is quite the same?
I had a song that I mixed down, and when I went back to separate files, I was never good as that mix down, so I had to add background vocals to that mixed down version because I can never recapture that magic. So I guess I got crystalled on that one. But dude, Steven, you don't like McVie's little solo at the end? You're not feeling it?
I don't remember it because I never listened to that version.
Maybe listen to just the last 20 seconds of the song.
Okay, yeah, I will check it out again. But I love how pure Lindsay sounds on this. He doesn't have this, like when he's trying to sing in other songs, it really bothers me. Like, Not That Funny, Is It? He gets that weird, like, yeah. You know, it doesn't.
Can you do that? I didn't hear you.
Why does he sing like that?
I didn't hear you. Could you do that again?
My
I'd miss.
feel terrible for doing. But do you know what I'm talking about? Like, if anyone here is a singer, like he's really forcing his vocals, and I think he tries to compete with Stevie because she had like a thing going that really caught on, and he tries to force his vibrato into something it's not. And on Crystal here, he's singing very natural, and his voice is just incredible. I put him up there with any guy pop singer based off of this song.
Can I make a very controversial statement? This is very controversial, and everyone's gonna be pissed. Everyone that watches this podcast. But I feel like Lindsay, like his talent shined so bright that he spent like the next 20 years trying to work against himself, against everything that his natural talent was. Like, because I feel like with that Not That Funny, like that, like he was trying to be edgy. Like he's trying to be edgy. It's like, dude, just like, I feel like.
Okay, that's a great point.
He's just a very natural, like, I don't know. Ken, as the Buckingham fan, you're going to rebuttal this. But Jim, you had something to say. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just do my notes here, and then I'll maybe come into something else. Yeah, Stevie wrote this song, but Lindsay sung it, and he sung it very well. It's probably one of his best vocals ever. Just, it's kind of like when I first heard it, and Lindsay singing that, I said, "Shit, damn, Lindsay, that's a great vocal." You know, even though I heard all the other stuff. Great harmonies again. Very stunning track musically, quite epic. And I can see why Fleetwood Mac liked this. And I guess that's about it.
I feel like in Lindsay's mind, like, this is how we do it in LA from A Law and Order is like, I'm being a genius. But in my opinion, like, Holiday Road is fucking Buckingham being a genius with those like deceptively simple, kick-ass fucking pop songs. Ken, save this podcast.
I'm not going to try to rebut what you said because there's some truth to it. I mean, I happen to like the weird stuff that he does. I like how adventurous it is. But yeah, there's something about just the earnestness that he started out with that if he had kept up with that, it would have been interesting. I wanted to make another comment though. You were saying that this is the only song, and I think you're probably right that this is the only song that Stevie wrote that Lindsay sings lead. But who do you guys consider the lead on I Don't Want to Know? Because that's almost like a toss-up. I don't think that song has a lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
I consider that kind of like an Everly Brothers song where it's like a co-lead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
Stevie did write that, and Lindsay does sing on it.
Yeah.
My friend, we're doing a Fleetwood Mac tribute here in Tampa, and my friend's like, "Can we put I Don't Want to Know on the set list?" I'm like, "We can't. That's the song that betrayed Silver Springs, and we just can't do it. Stevie would never forgive us." So I got to take it out of our set list here in Tampa. Okay, does anyone else have any thoughts on Crystal? Alicia?
So when are you doing your tribute?
Every year in Tampa, there's like a event where local bands become other bands to raise money for low income children to get music instruments. It's called
That's a good deal.
Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be the Chrissy McVie
Oh.
playing the keyboard.
Ah,
So it's during Thanksgiving?
No, it's usually Halloween weekend, like around Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't want to know. Did not make the set list because Silver Springs is still not forgiven it.
Is this event broadcast online or anything?
No, but we'll put some clips up.
I
Okay.
want to see that.
yes, please do. Please
Last
do.
year, me and my friend did Shakespeare's Sister in drag. I was the weird
Oh,
one.
I'm so into them right now.
Siobhan. Oh, I do a Shakespeare's Sister podcast. I love Siobhan from Bananarama. She's so
Oh,
fucking
me
cool.
too. I'm so into them right now. They're all I'm listening to.
Have you heard their album 3? Like the one she did?
What's that?
Did you hear their third album 3 when it was just her? It's like very like rock.
I haven't even heard all their stuff yet.
Oh, you gotta listen to that album. It's called 3. Okay, sorry guys. We're all over the place. If anyone wants a
Like
new
a journey.
podcast host, I'll retire. Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts on Crystal? I give this thumbs up. I love this version. Oh
Hit
my
their
God.
stride. It's good.
Yeah. Have we ever all been in agreement before?
Yeah, we have before. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like Nathan's sitting somewhere with his thumb down, like
Yeah, a
Hearing-
whole lot of trouble.
a whole lot of trouble. Get out of here.
Everyone was like,
Not guilty. Have mercy. All right. Sunflowers and your face fascinate me. You love only the tallest trees. Long distance winter. Heard by many on the Enchanted box set, but originally from the Buckingham Knicks album. I guess this was the end of side 1 on the vinyl.
Mhm.
What's that weird instrument that in the beginning? Like they have that weird.
Is something Greek? Or she said it sounded Greek-like.
It's definitely an interesting choice. What do y'all think of this song?
I love her voice on this song.
Yeah.
there's a hairbrush at the beginning,
Is that what it is? A hairbrush?
back and forth. Sounds like it. I don't know what
Okay.
it is.
Before Lindsay was banging on the
Shoe
boxes
box.
on top, the shoe boxes, just playing the hairbrush on Buckingham.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, what are your notes on this one?
Okay. It's Stevie's twangy response to Lindsay's Without a Leg to Stand On. Stevie at her witchy best, lyrically and vocally. Great playing by Lindsay and the rest of the band. Somebody please cover this. This lends itself. This is not a dated sentiment song. Can be covered, and it's forever. This people are going to feel like this. Going forward, this is something that's kind of lost, and I think someone should come in here and just cover it. And it could be anybody. It could be someone 5 years from now, but it's a good song. And I say right here at the end, once in a million years, a lady rises. This is very Stevie, very much in her lexicon. It is just so much her.
I like the bridge. I don't know if it's a bridge or chorus or what, but the
Yeah.
love somebody, save their soul, tie them
Yeah.
to their. That's so fucking Stevie, right? Like really early in her career, like she was already Stevie. I of course love this song too. Very Knicks. Don't try to change them. You never will. Stevie, you should have taken your own advice because you kept trying to change that man and it didn't happen. You didn't listen. You didn't listen to your own advice from Long Distance Winter. Okay, who else wants to talk about this song? Jimmy.
My only comment is, I just felt like the vocals were still a little processed for me, just for my taste. I think it's an incredibly strong song that I don't care that, it doesn't matter that they did that to the vocals, but I would love to hear what it would have sounded like with just her full on single voice. I think because I love the song. I think it's
It
great.
could do it. It just could. So I mean, I don't know if Stevie can handle this live now, but I think she would feel a lot, and it'll come across to a crowd.
Yeah.
You know,
All right. Anybody else on the panel want to give a little of their thoughts on Long Distance Winter? Ken?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I hate this song, but it's my least favorite Stevie song on the album. I just musically it's fine. It's nice musically. I can't get past the sunflowers in your face line. That just turns me right off, and I can't even listen to the rest of it.
okay.
You'll never look at a sunflower the same again.
It's very
It's like
hippie dippy 70s.
Yeah.
It's like the forgotten chimpanzee or something like that.
That damn chimpanzee keeps making its way back to this podcast.
I had to put that in there.
Okay, does anybody else want to say anything? Alicia, did I call on you? Did I miss anything?
I think it's one of the strong songs off of the record. I love this and Crystal. Stevie sounds great on it. I think the line that always pops out with me is running down the hill and you still beat me. And I'm always trying to figure out
The winner, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always trying to figure out how the imagery in my head, I'm trying to figure out how he outdoes her. And so it's an interesting and it's interesting because I noticed this one with Races Are Run. It seems like they were really doing a lot of racing and running for this record. So what's the metaphor that they are really discussing? Is it trying to get their careers on track? Or was it trying to keep the relationship going? I don't know. It's an interesting coincidence through this record.
I feel like... Oh, go ahead, Steven.
Say it. I see it on your face. Say it.
I was going to say, like, some of the themes that happen for the next, 40 years are all, right here.
Yeah.
And, there's some bitchy lines in the song. You burn brightly in spite of yourself. That's not a very nice thing to say about somebody. I mean...
Sounds like she was already being competitive with Lindsay back in 1973.
Yeah, both of them.
Steven, what were you going to say when I interrupted you?
No, I wanted you to. That's what I thought you were going to say, and I saw it coming out of your lips. And I was like, come on.
Well, I still give it thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But I would like a remix, like Jimmy's.
I love it. Okay, we're flipping the vinyl. Something we haven't mentioned yet is that we all knew Don't Let Me Down Again because it was on the Fleetwood Mac Live album from 1980. So we all knew it from there. But we go back and we have the Buckingham Knicks version. Of course, it's cool to hear it with the McVie and Fleetwood rhythm section. But I thought this is a great way to start side two. Obviously, their harmonies are great. This is a great song. I love the Buckingham Knicks version. I think the live version's cool, but I do love the version here. Jim.
Okay. It's a fun little country rock track. These two idealistic people sure fought a lot. It's just kind of like back and forth all the way through. It reminds me of Holiday Road for some reason. I think some of the it just reminds me of that. Fleetwood Mac did this quite often live. The basses and the drummer are a bit annoying here. Hint, it's like Mick and John can handle this stuff better. Did I mention great harmonies?
Either it was the bassist or drummer that came back and was on Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. I can't remember which one it was, but
Bob Glaub was on this record, I guess. Look in the back.
Which song again?
Don't Let Me Down Again.
Is he on this? There's so many bit players.
All right. Was it Jim?
I don't see it.
I'll look it up in a second.
Keltner's on the album. He's a good session guy.
All right. Any other thoughts on Don't Let Me Down Again? Jimmy?
Yeah, I think this one to me really has a very solid 70s sound. It really is moving. And as Jeremy knows, I always resequence albums to my taste and what I think would work. And I just think this is like one of the most commercially viable songs off this album. And I really think that this is one where if you went to just put the needle on the record and really heard this song, because this is really, it does remind me of Fleetwood Mac, kind of. But I just think that it is, just a solid moving, grooving 70s kind of vibe and song.
All right. Anyone else? I love Lindsay's guitar on this one and the double track guitar. I think it's pretty fierce, actually. Alicia?
This song gave me kind of it reminds me of World Turning, kind of the groove, and it almost has like that down ho stomp to it that World Turning has. So that was the one that really kind of made me think of that. I'm very curious though, Jimmy. So how did you resequence this record then?
Oh yeah, I will reveal all at the end of the podcast. We will go to the big reveal of Jimmy's playlist, perfect playlist.
I love it.
I do the same thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I can't stand Stevie's mix of the album. She thinks she's so good at it. I think she's terrible at sequencing. Awful.
So you would have resequenced Rumors? Fucking Rumors?
Everything.
Would Rumors have still open with Secondhand News?
Hell no.
All right, let's keep it moving. Don't Let Me Down Again. I'm scared. I've already made enough people mad. Ken.
I always love it when Lindsay gets bluesy, and this is definitely like a blues based song. And I like the effect as the song goes on, and that you got that heavy guitar riff just repeats and repeats and repeats, and it kind of gets you into a trance as it goes on. Trance blues, I almost want to call it. There's a Southern musician, I think he's from Louisiana. His name is Paul Thorne, and he actually does a really good version of this song. You should be able to find it on the streaming platforms and stuff. It's good. But yeah, this is one of my favorite songs on the album.
There's also a disco version. Did you guys know?
I did not, but tell me about it.
I have the link. I'll send it to you guys while we're talking about it. I found it. Shirley Eichhardt.
I swore I read somewhere that someone from this album was on Belladonna, but I can't find it, so strike that from the record unless I find what the fuck I was talking about. Okay, Don't Let Me Down Again, though. I give it thumbs up.
Good stuff.
Next, we have an instrumental, another instrumental, which really is just a small little intro into Races Are Run.
Right.
The Django. Didn't Lindsay do this live at some point more recently? No, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of Stephanie. What do you guys think of the instrumental? It's a little Spanish flavor. Does anyone have anything to say about it? It's harmless. I feel it's basically just a segue.
I love how it ends and goes right into.
Oh yeah.
That kind of that was kind of brilliant at that time. So
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather he sang a song.
All right. Any other thoughts on Django? This was named after a guitar player, right? Jim, go ahead.
Yeah.
You probably have the history.
Django Reinhardt.
Yeah,
But
that's him.
This is a cover. Well, it's kind of a cover or kind of a reflection on. This is a bit of a cover of a John Lewis jazz number, and I guess John Lewis. This is a tribute to Django Reinhardt. So if I found an old clip, and at the first, it's a piano number, but it does. Lindsay covers the notes basically at the front of the jazz number.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of rock players back then listened to a lot of jazz, and it really helped their chops. It helped them just bring a lot of stuff into rock and roll. Uh, I haven't noticed this before, but this sounds very much like a Peter Green while in Fleetwood Mac. I noticed there's just some similarities. Yeah, Lindsay said before joining Fleetwood Mac, he was very familiar with Peter Green. A terrific lead into the next song, Races Are Run.
All right. I'm still doing my research, so sorry, I'm trying to keep this podcast going and back up probably an incorrect statement I made. Races Are Run. My opinion, Stevie's worst lyrics on the album. Some say, what's that one verse?
Somebody's different kind
Well,
of people.
If we could start again, well, who knows? Have we really changed? Some say we have, reflecting our past. Who can say? Who can say?
Can say.
Yes. You know what though? Like many of my favorite Stevie Nicks songs, she can kind of put some rubbish in the verses, but then she comes up with a killer hook in the chorus that kind of brings it together. And I love the chorus of "Races Are Run." That's such classic Stevie Nicks and Lindsay harmonizing. I was just driving in my car yesterday, just playing the song over and over because no matter how garbage the verses are, I think the chorus is just amazing. So, all right, who wants to start this one off or end it? Ken.
I love this song. I could listen to it over and over. Sometimes I do listen to it over and over. It has a really interesting chord structure. I think I haven't tried to play. I'm going to try to play it one of these days, but I bet it wouldn't be easy to figure out all the changes. It seems like there's some complex stuff going on in there. It's interesting to me how the verses have this like kind of tension to them, and then the chorus comes and things open up, and you get the duet vocals. And like it relieves the tension. I don't know. It's. I'm not describing it very well, but this is the song from Buckingham Knicks that I wish Stevie would have put on the box set instead of Long Distance Winter.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I had made a note that to me, Stevie's vocals, these might be her best vocals on the album for me because I don't think they're as processed as some of the others. And while the lyrics are very simplistic and they are very meaningful, I mean, the song does have a message to it. And I think it's, insightful into a relationship. And I was drawn to this. I remember when I got the album because I was always drawn to like the songs, where the lines are, some people always have to lose. I always was drawn to the kind of darker songs or not so happy moments. Like I was into ABBA, but my favorite ABBA song was "Knowing Me, Knowing You." And what did I know at like 8 years old about a breakup? But that was my favorite song at the time. So for me, I really like the song. Stevie's vocals are great. I think Lindsay comes in great. His vocals are strong. So for me, it's a winner. It's a long distance winner.
Oh, I see what you did. Steven.
First of all, Jimmy, you have fantastic taste in music, I have to say. I love them. I was going to comment the same thing you did on Stevie's vocals on this. That sounded really nice. And listening to this album now, because this is not something I have in rotation. I haven't listened to it since the 80s. This is the song that stood out this time around. When I was younger, it was Long Distance Winter. Now it's this song. So this was a very pleasant surprise when I heard those vocals. I was like, oh, that's not so terribly done as the other vocal production on Stevie's songs. So I liked it. Thumbs up.
Okay, I found what I was looking for. Y'all, Tom Mo Crife, or whatever his name is, who played bass on track 9 of Belladonna, which was track 9. Track 9 on Belladonna was Outside the Rain, toured with Buckingham Knicks. So he was in the Buckingham Knicks touring band. And then he came back and played bass on Outside the Rain. So I have redeemed myself as a podcast host. Races are
yeah, he's on the demo of Sarah, Tom Moncrief. Yeah.
Cool.
Tom and Moncrief, yeah.
Any other thoughts on the cleaning lady demo?
Oh,
Is that the cleaning lady version's Fleetwood Mac, right? Like a long version of the Tusk recording?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. Jim.
yes. One of my favorite tracks when I got the album. It's very easy to kind of decipher, and it has a lot of elements. I think of a Danny Kerwin Fleetwood Mac song. At least the melody.
100%.
There's a lot of guitar work that's very Fleetwood Mac. That doom doom doom. That sounds like Danny's work.
I'm a huge Danny Kerwin fan.
Oh, they're hold on. Lindsay, I was reading a Stevie interview, and Stevie said that Lindsay liked Peter Green. It was very familiar, but then she said the guitars after Peter Green. So Lindsay was probably listening to Danny and Bob and these others. So there you go. Okay. It's a pretty sad song about people changing in a relation as a relationship goes on. Harmonies again, beautiful playing on this track. It's a beautiful played track.
You know what I love about this song, which is also very pre-Buckingham Knicks Fleetwood Mac, is the long fade at the end. Fleetwood Mac did that a lot in their early albums, like, Future Games and stuff, and they do that long fade and Races Are Run. You know what? I kind of dog this song for the lyrics, but I love it. So I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. Races Are Run.
Nice, sweet song.
Yeah, it's a sweet song.
The lyrics are not like perfect, or they're a little corny, or they're a little like, what is she saying? But really, the sentiment's there. I mean, the emotion carries it.
The sincerity, that Stevie sincerity.
It carries it. That's why I was attracted to this song early on. It's that sincereness. It's real.
All right. So then next, we have a little bit of guitar intro, a little bit of shades of The Chain, a little bit of shades of Destiny Rules that would come later on. Dun, 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 dun. And then Lola, my love. Treat her, man. I think the song is terrible, but I love the chorus hook, the Lola. So
okay, that's all right.
The bad things about this song, everything. The good things about this song, the hook on the chorus, and Waddy Wachtel getting a shout out towards the end. I'm like, hell, because me and my friend, whenever we go to see Stevie live solo, we're always like, Waddy! Like, we just yell. So, like, I got love for Waddy. And here he is making his first appearance in the Fleetwood Mac universe.
Okay.
What do you all think of this song? Lola, my love.
I think one of the things I enjoyed was when you really give it a deep listen, you can hear a lot of Lindsay improvs, like he's humming in the background of the beginning of the song. Like you really wouldn't notice it if you just were walking by listening. But if you do a deep listen, he just throws a couple of like interesting vocal ad libs into it. Because it's not gonna ever be a terrific, song. But he does what he does. He does what he does with it, and I can kind of respect that. So I don't hate it.
I like his guitar at the end where it's like that solo.
Yeah,
or is that Waddy? I don't know who the hell's who. I'm thinking it's Lindsay doing that part. Okay, Ken, as our resident Lindsay fan in the house, how do you feel about Lola?
This is a real stinker of a song. I know that I said earlier that I like it when Lindsay gets bluesy, but this does not work. This is the one song on the album that I'm like, did he not have anything better than this to put on there? This is the low point of the album for me.
I feel like it's very like woman's lib never happened. Like she knows how to treat her man.
Yeah.
Cleans the house.
But see, I envision it in the world with Lola from the Kinks. So I kind of crossbreed those Lolas together. So Lola really wasn't Lola.
It sounds very cock rock to me. It's kind of like his version of like the long distance winter lady, like the femme fatale.
No,
Right.
or
My
the
least
Crying in the
favorite
Night
track.
Girl.
I skipped this one to Frozen Love.
Okay, more people can talk about this, but I'm just gonna put out here right now 2 thumbs down for Lola My Love.
Okay, I haven't done mine.
Oh, Jim, we're gonna go back to you, but I just had to get this out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm thinking about the thumbs down.
Jim, take it away.
Okay.
Jim Miller.
I thought this song was a bit misogynistic then, like in '83-ish or whatever, and as I do now. I don't think women can sing about a man in this manner, but as I may recall, Lucinda Williams may have come close to that. Because Lucinda will get into some very sexy stuff. I get what Lindsay was feeling at the time. Other than that, a pretty good track.
What is this song about?
He does everything a woman can. What does that fucking mean?
Wash the dishes.
All right.
When I come home, one thing on my mind. What do you think the one thing on his mind is when he comes home?
Huh?
Yeah,
I wonder.
Well,
She knows just what I'm looking for. And in the morning after, I say, Lola, you sure can love.
Boy, that's
More.
he needs to be slapped.
God, and Stevie was all pissed off about singing "Packing Up, Shacking Up's All You Want to Do," but she had no problem singing on "Lola, My Love." Lola, my
It didn't
love.
age well. This one did not age well, for sure.
It was bad back then.
You know what though? This came out in '73, the same year that Fleetwood Mac Penguin came out. Imagine, Jim, you know those early albums. This could have finally given Dave Walker something to sink his teeth into.
Yeah.
He did this.
Okay. All right.
All right. Enough of that. We are moving on to the final song. The song that Mick Fleetwood heard in the studio and said, I need this guitar player to replace Bob Welsh. And the guitar player said, I'm only joining this band if I can bring my girlfriend with me. And the rest is history. Frozen Love. There's an orchestra. There's a guitar breakdown. There's some flutes that sound like they just came right over from Stairway to Heaven. There's some great harmonies. This is an epic song that I feel is like kind of like the predecessor to the closer on the White Album, I'm So Afraid. Like that epic album closer. What do y'all think of Frozen Love?
Epic.
We all love it, right?
Yeah, man.
It's so interesting.
There's some concert clip where Stevie starts singing that "You may not be as strong as me" to Lindsay, and she's trying to get him to sing along, but he doesn't. He kind of says like, I don't remember the words or something like that. But wouldn't have been something if they actually both remembered the lyrics and he knew how to play it and they sang it live. I think it was a Lindsay concert, Lindsay solo concert. I think
What year was that?
Oh, yeah. I see.
After the dance.
Oh,
sometime after the dance, I think.
I think it was a.
Was it a PBS concert?
2008.
No, it was a Lindsay show, and Stevie did a few songs on them. Maybe they're in LA or some.
Yeah, like Never Going Back Again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a cappella. Did Lindsay start that, or did Stevie start?
She started. He couldn't do it after.
Yeah, I mean that.
Started.
It was kind of cute improv, and it's a little piece of history that's kind of cool. Yeah. And did Lindsay even add to that, or
no? I remember
and it would have been funny if Lindsay would have just kind of sang one line and then they would have ended it.
Right.
But
he did not engage.
Yeah.
No. Oh well.
Maybe that's why that album's not on a CD.
Steven, what were you gonna say about Stairway to Heaven?
Does this really sound like Stairway to Heaven?
No, I thought that flute, that little flute that they have in the acoustic breakdown reminded me of Stairway to Heaven, but only.
I know that's a huge song. It's just one that never connected to me, so I don't know it.
No.
But I feel like I should know it.
I compare it to something else.
There's a live version of this floating around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, something we do need to mention that this was a co-write of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. And how many times did they actually write together and get a co-songwriting credit in the whole history of their careers?
The Chain, if you kind of put that, I don't know. The Chain is that first part was all Stevie's lyrics.
Right from her demo.
And the end was maybe Christine or maybe Lindsay contributed. I mean, I'm kind of fuzzy on that history, but what was the name of that demo? Gosh, Stevie would run. She had 3 songs in one of her demos.
Christine, I think that Stevie demo was just called The Chain. And then it went into If You Ever Did Believe.
Well, and she used one of those on. Okay, never mind.
The Christine demo was like Butter Cookie or whatever that became The Chain.
Yeah, the instrument part was all her and Fleetwood Mac. But they all got songwriting credits. They threw in on it. So great. When you think about that, Chain's a pretty epic. It's a big epic deal.
So is this the only time in history that Buckingham and Nicks wrote a song together and got?
There's Book of Miracles to that instrumental, but I'm wondering if that was a typo, because that became Juliet after.
And Lindsay wasn't on the songwriting credits for Juliet, was he?
No, but I'm just wondering if they just added his name, or he really did add something to Book of Miracles. I don't know.
I would doubt they wrote this together. He probably took a song she had written and added all that stuff in the middle and towards the end, and they were like, "Oh, we'll both take credit on this." I would imagine that's how it went down.
I get the inclination that it's mostly a Stevie pen. That's kind of her kind of writing,
I mean, that cold freezing air is such a Stevie.
That's a Stevie line. She likes to use like nature and imagery and things like that. So I get the inclination that's mostly Stevie. Maybe and the instrumentation is Lindsay's effort. So it's done. It's in the can. Okay.
Go ahead, Jim. Do you have any notes on this one?
Yeah, I got notes. For a couple of California kids, this sounds to me like a Leonard Skinner song. Leonard Skinner released their debut album 3 weeks prior to Buckingham Knicks.
Okay.
And that Skinner album was killer. It overshadowed. This music and Skinner is quite similar when you kind of break it down.
And they're both popular in Alabama, so there you go.
Okay. And it's like I said, there's no way they heard each other's music and kind of, sometimes they get influenced. Sometimes someone will come out with something and like 3 weeks later, someone won't steal it, but they'll get some of the nuances of what they heard. And this kind of was right together. This was all done separately and it kind of, there's a lot of similarities. It's a very epic song along the lines of Leonard Skinner's Freebird. I mean, it's kind of, this is the one where the DJ goes out and goes to the bathroom, comes back, and it's still playing. So, they take turns in the vocals. They take turns on the vocal, and it sort of puts a bow on the album. You have them taking turns on the songs, and now they take turns with vocals, and it sort of wraps it up. And it's about a couple with a challenging relationship. Very epic, 7 minutes and 16 seconds of music. Freebirds is a couple minutes longer than that. So I think it really, to me, it has more of a Freebird, feel to it in some ways.
Yeah, I have that. I thought I had a great classic intro. For an epic song, that I found the blending of the vocals was very effective. I'm really surprised that this one, I wonder if the length worked against it for potentially getting radio play. And the showcase for the guitars, and
yeah,
I think the progression of the instrumentation at the time I thought was, kind of progressive. So
Yeah.
I just think that this is like, an amazing song. It's just kind of like a lost jewel that
Yeah.
was sitting there. Thankfully, Mick Fleetwood heard that and, brought them into the fold. But that song just makes me wonder, if that had not happened, what would Buckingham Knicks have evolved into? I do think that they would have gotten another deal at
Yeah.
somebody certainly would have seen them live and had enough sense to realize, hey, these kids have something.
Okay, there's something that Lindsay said at one time before joining Fleetwood Mac. They had this like a deal for steakhouses, kind of little venues, and I was reading an article today that Lindsay wasn't so Lindsay believed in this project, and he really didn't want to jump into like with these other people, these strangers. Well, not exactly strangers, but he was, he kind of proud of this album and proud of what they were they're working on. Keith Olsen would give them free time at the studio to work on stuff, and because Keith Olsen believed in them too, so they really wanted it together, and like they were getting some buzz in the South and the Alabama thing, and they did those shows. So they were kind of cooking, at least in a small little market, and I read a story that Polydor did next to nothing promoting this and sending out copies to radio stations. So I mean, there was a lot of things working against him, but there was, people that heard this record from a radio station picked up on it, and it was very few radio stations, like 2, I think, in Alabama. I think in Tuscaloosa and gosh, what was the other one? They played
Birmingham, I think.
Birmingham, yes. So
You got 5,000 people out there to see them. That's what Stevie said.
I think they would have. I think they would have made it. It would have been a really different thing.
I think that the instrumental towards the end, where it kind of gets small, then builds and builds and builds, is really the genius of Buckingham. Like, it's so powerful. And that kind of part where the flute comes in, it's very like atmospheric. Did Lindsay ever get that kind of atmospheric again on one of his songs? I mean, I feel like he did that kind of production stuff in some Stevie songs.
Like Tango of the Night.
Oh, good one. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Ooh, I gotta get some water in a second. But does anyone else have any thoughts on Frozen Love? Ken?
Yeah, I think we got to shout out to Keith Olsen. When Fleetwood Mac got Lindsay and Stevie, it doesn't really get appreciated. They also got Keith Olsen for a while.
Yep.
And Richard
And
Dash too. Richard too, yeah. But I mean, I just think that the role the producers played in shaping the early Fleetwood Mac sound, it was they had a lot to do with it. Fleetwood Mac was lucky to have some amazing producers all along the way, but Keith and Richard got started right here on this album. And you can really hear his production in this song, just little touches like the way, I mean, I love how like 30 seconds into this song, you have no idea that at the 4-minute mark, it's going to be as intense as it is. It starts off like fairly, I don't want to say gentle, but it's not the intense rock song that it eventually builds into. And the solos, my God, you have first this acoustic solo. And then at some point, it like transitions to an electric solo, and you almost don't notice it happens. It kind of sneaks up on you, and that's a brilliant production. I don't know if that was Lindsay or Keith, but it's a great song, and I mean, the song is history. It's pure history.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Remember Lindsay talking about Go Your Own Way, and they needed like it wasn't quite there, and they added like a counter guitar work, and that made Go Your Own Way. This has some of that same element. So,
ooh, well, they definitely saved the best for last on this album, because this is, I consider the song a masterpiece, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And I've considered this at the top, this is their talent fully formed. It might not be, you know what? Actually, I think it's perfect. I'm like, maybe it would have been better with better production, but I think it's perfect the way it is. And I think Keith Olsen did the song justice. The climax is awesome. Obviously, we're all giving it thumbs up, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's rather epic.
Did anyone else have it? Alicia, do you have anything you wanted to say about Frozen Love?
No, not really. I mean, I think everybody has said everything. I know listening to it for the first time, it's like, wow.
Was it like discovering a treasure, kind of?
It's one of those songs I'm going to have to listen to several more times to really, I think, process it. It's just it's very much involved. It's a good record or a good song. Please don't get me wrong, but it's just, there's so much there.
Right. There's a lot to dig into.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes, I love how it ends. It just goes ding, and that's the end of the record.
Yeah.
No fade out, nothing. They just say, "This is a stamp. This is us. This is Buckingham Knicks." And well, it took a while. It took the next album. Here we are.
It would be cool if, because Mick liked it so much that it got him into the band, if you let them play this as a Fleetwood Mac song.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling that Mick might have got a copy of the whole album and here, Christine, listen to this, John. These guys are pretty damn. They sound like us a little bit. Damn, let's have them. I would think Mick might have got a copy. I just have a feeling that he got a copy and took it to the other members.
I feel like Christine was like, whatever, as long as I get along with her, I don't care.
Well, okay. I read something today where it kind of fleshes that out where Stevie and Christine were they were sat together in that first meeting and they were getting it on, and they're like babbling geese, that's how someone described it. And Lindsay kind of someone remarked, "Oh no, they're getting along. Oh no, we're in for because when the gals can get strong together, I mean, they can be a very powerful group. What do you call it? A team of our allies. And that's what's great about Fleetwood Mac. There was a lot of alliances that overlapped.
What if Lindsay wanted Christine to sing back up on Lola My Love? I feel like she would have hit him over the head with a bottle of Jack. I'm not singing that. All right. So before we rank the album, I'd love to hear, does anyone else have any thoughts on Frozen Love before we move on? Okay.
Yeah, just real briefly, I think it was Alicia earlier who was talking about like the competitive themes throughout the like races are run and long distance winter. And it just kind of hit me just now that it's in this song too. You may not be as strong as me. It may be hard to keep up with me.
Oh,
there's another one. It's all over the place.
Wow. All right. Well, before we rank the album, Jimmy, grace us with your resequenced.
Oh, okay. It's not perfect, and my rule is you have to use every song on the album. So you can't delete a song. So were I to have been in charge, I would have led off with Don't Let Me Down Again.
That's
side
good.
A, first track. Long Distance Winter, Without a Leg to Stand On, Crying in the Night, and then Stephanie would have ended side A.
Okay.
Side B would have started with Danjo, leading right into Races to Run, Lola My Love, kind of burying it in the middle somewhere, and then ending the record with the 2 for 2, Crystal and Frozen Love. It's like you would not forget that album.
Okay.
All right. On my car ride tomorrow, I'm going to listen to the Jimmy track list.
That's
All
how
right.
it ended on mine, because I had a bootleg CD that had the orders all mixed up. But it ended just like you did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Cool. Well, let's rank this fucker, you guys. Buckingham Knicks, Jim Miller on a scale of 1 to 10.
9.1.
Oh, okay. Dr. Larner.
I would give it an 8.
An 8. Okay. Yeah. Jimmy.
Well, it's hard for me to give it a scale since I haven't done the other podcasts and I really haven't thought about it in the context of the whole Fleetwood Mac atmosphere. So it would be really hard for me to give this one a number rating.
All right, we'll give you a free pass. But get ready to rank Auto American next week.
Oh, ready.
I
Guns
love it.
blazing.
Okay, Ken, where do you rank Buckingham Knicks?
I'm going to give it an 8, but it would be an 8.5 without Lola My Love. Might be a 9 without that song.
Okay, Roland, it was so good to have you
I
back.
would say an 8. Thank you. I would say an 8 because I can't help but compare it to their more mature stuff when they went solo, when they went in Fleetwood Mac, and I'm taking points off of Lola My Love too.
Well, poor Lola. Okay. Lola's the wrong kind of girl. All right. Alicia, Buckingham Knicks.
Well, I was thinking 8. I mean, Lola, but you also, I think, not a leg to stand on is, I think, the 2 weak songs off of this record. So that's your 2 points off. It's a great record. Some of the lyrics, you can tell they haven't been fully developed yet as lyricists, but musically, this is really spot on. It's really, really a good record to just put in and listen to. And it's good pacing.
So I'm going to piggyback on what you said, Alicia. This is such a pleasure to listen to from beginning to end. Even the songs I don't love as much are not so offensive that I ever get up and skip them. And I listened to this 3 times in a row yesterday when I was driving. I never got sick of it. So it's such a breeze to listen to. And how many albums have a song as good as Frozen Love? Like, it's so good. But then how many albums have a song as bad as Lola? So I feel like 8 was a running theme here. I'm just going to make it easy and give it an 8. So we did it. Buckingham Knicks.
Okay.
Next month, we are going to kind of go in chronological order and dig into Lindsey Buckingham's Law and Order album. So we're adding 3 episodes onto this series before we wrap up season 2 in the spring of next year. Thank you all for joining. Does anyone have any final parting thoughts they want to say about Buckingham Knicks before we go back?
Do you have a date for the Law and Order slot?
Let me wrap up this and I'll pause it and give everyone the date. Thank you to the Patreon subscribers, to everybody. Thanks to my friends, and thanks to Ledge for not ripping me apart too much in the comments section. I'm just kidding. I love it. It's all in good fun. We're all just staying in our opinions. So we will see you next month.